How's everything feeling with the shot these days?
It's feeling good. Feeling good. Coming into this stretch, playing some good teams. I think collectively, there's a lot of things that we look at, whether it's offense, defense, things that we can do better. But just understand it's a long season.
How do you work through shooting slumps over the course of the season? Because they come and go for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my fair share of them, but I think you just you continue to go out, trust the process, continue to shoot, get reps, and eventually they'll fall.
As a guy who's played 82 games for several years in a row now, can you tell by your body what month it is? Like, does it ebb and flow like that?
I mean, I think during the density of games, you definitely can feel it. During that period of time, kind of around the NBA Cup, I felt like we were just on the road for an entire month. But no, I mean, I think right now in the season, I think everyone's kind of dealing with something. That's just more of a league thing as opposed to Spurs specific things. So trying to figure out ways to keep your mind fresh, keep your body fresh.
Looking ahead to Luke going back to Boston, coming from a championship team and a blue chip program like that, what does that do in terms of bringing it to a franchise like this that's trying to get back to that level?
Well, I mean, I think it's all in perspective, right? Like, obviously, Luke won a championship with Boston more recently. I'm sure that would be great for him to go back and be there and be excited about that. At the same time, here, I mean, this is a franchise that is used to winning championships, right? So it's more of he's more so adding to a culture that's already been established here. But this group in particular is looking to do something like that collectively, right? How do we establish a winning culture? How do we show up consistently? How do we play to a standard that we go in and every single night, win or lose, we feel like we played our game. And I think we've gotten better at that this season. Obviously, there's still been some games where we can say, like, look, we didn't perform to the level that we wanted to perform at. But I think we're getting better at that.
What's he like in the locker room? And we know what he's like on the court, and he has that good sense of humor. What kind of vibes does he put out?
Now, Luke is great. I mean, one of the funniest teammates I've ever had. I think he definitely keeps the locker room light. He always has a quip, a message in the group chat. I mean, just something off the wall that, I mean, you wouldn't expect. I mean, I think obviously his celebration in Orlando, I mean, that was off the fly. The dunk in Indiana, with the bench reaction to Kelly. I mean, he's quick on his feet. So, hey, you don't know what you're ever going to get.
This stretch of games here, what's the key maybe to having a better first quarter?
I mean, I think, we look at the first quarter last game. I mean, at the 6-minute mark, I think they were shooting like 40% or something like that. And then by the end of the first, it was like almost up to like 50, right? So I think, for us, it's on, the starting group to establish how we're going to play. But I think throughout the course of the game, I think our defensive communication can be better. I think that's an area that we've talked about. We've had it's gone down a little bit in the last few games. And I think it's shown up in our results, but I think we can improve on that.
Being able to have a practice day like this help that? Like, you don't usually get practice days. You have a couple of them this month, probably.
Yeah, no, I think it was great. I think to actually have an off day, then have a practice day where it wasn't like, a shoot-around pseudo practice was nice. And I think guys, feel that obviously with guys getting back from injury, we're just kind of focusing on more of what we do specifically as opposed to opponent-based stuff, I think was big.
The dropping the 3 of the last 5, Harrison, but one of the ones you won was against the Knicks, off the heels of the 3 against the Thunder. Little concern there that it's kind of a situation where you kind of get up for the teams, the great teams, and maybe everybody else kind of.
No, I think it's just kind of we're at this point in the season, really. I think it's more of, can we maintain our focus? Can we show up and play the style of basketball that we're playing? I don't think necessarily who we're playing is a matter of that. I mean, we've had close games against New Orleans. We've had close games against Brooklyn. I mean, there's been other teams where it's like it's not necessarily that case. So I think for us it's a matter of, if we're going to, like I said, play our style and knowing that the teams that we're playing, they have guys who can get hot. They can have games. They can, impact a run in a way that if we're not tight, can give a team life.
I know players have talked about this before, but is there any truth to the idea that kind of this time of year, this middle ground of the season is sort of conducive to being dog days, kind of conducive to letdowns, I guess, this time of year?
Well, I think it's what team can maintain focus the best, right? I mean, there's Injuries are piling up throughout the league. I think during this stretch of games, I mean, you're essentially trying to establish good habits between now and All-Star break, right? There's nothing really in between. There's no real breaks or any gaps, so it's a matter of who can maintain focus the best. And I think, once you get to All-Star break, right, that's when the seeding, not set in stone, but there's a lot of work that goes into that, right? So it's like, for a team like us, like how can we continue to get better? How can we continue to focus on where we want to be at and not let, a good first half of the season be erased by, a stretch of a 3-week bad stretch or something like that.
So this is kind of a time of the year where maybe you can take advantage of the fact that a lot of teams are working through it. Is there sort of preemptively getting into that seeding battle, I guess, taking advantage of that?
Well, I think this is a time when good teams lock in. I mean, they're able to establish either more space between them and the next team behind them or in front of them, whatever, or, if teams have been hurt, this allows them to move up in the standings and, either get into the play-in or get out of the play-in and get into the top 6, whatever it is, right? So I think it's a matter of when you look back at all of these games in April and you say, man, if we would have got this game here, this game there, I think this is the period of time where good teams say, hey, okay, we're going to take care of the games that we need to take care of now. And if someone beats us, man, someone had an unbelievable game, we played great, and they beat us, as opposed to like we didn't show up or we didn't give effort or they just wanted it more than we did.
I'm just curious, do you have any opinions or thoughts on the 65-game eligibility rule for awards and how that's working out in practice?
Not that you'd ever be in danger.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because is it a matter of impact or is it a matter of just simply being out there for games, right? Like, you don't want a situation where, guys are simply just suiting up and playing 2 minutes, just to get by on the, on the game count, right? But at the same time, like, last year, I think Vic led the league in blocks and he didn't even play for 30-plus games, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, is it about impact or is it about, games being played? And I get it, there's a balance, for league-wide for guys to play, guys to be out there, and guys to contribute. But I think there's also balance, too, between, are we going to be splitting hairs if the guy's at 64 games, but, they're playing at this level?
Is that something the players might want the league to revisit during the next CBA? Or?
I mean, I think there's a lot of things that can be talked about, can be revisited. But I just think in general, I think everyone is doing their best to be out there for the games and do all that type of stuff. Like I said, it's just unfortunate, if, like I said, looking at Victor's case in particular, right, he would be ineligible last year for all defense and, the blocks leader because of those games, even though his statistics were still outsized for the games that he played, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Jeremy's been out of the rotation? What do you see from him as far as being engaged and doing what things?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jeremy's been an unbelievable professional during this time. I mean, he's in the gym constantly. He's before practice, after practice, late nights. He's attentive. He's engaged in everything that he's asked to do. Always ready to play. Always engaged in what we're doing. So I don't think he's been distracted or discouraged by this at all. If anything, I think guys can see, from a player and coach's perspective, see his commitment to always staying ready.
Yeah, he seems that way on the bench during the games, always talking to guys.
Yeah, no, he's had great energy. He's highly communicative. So I think that he has made sure his presence is still felt and his voice is still heard within the locker room.
Thanks, Harrison.
Thanks, Harrison.
Appreciate it.
You.
See you up there.
Yes, sir.